But I think we can get started, guys. Even though we are less in count, I maybe few others might join as we start the session. Uh, okay, so the hope you're all able to hear me. Can you maybe a thumbs up? Yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, perfect. So let me share my screen first. Okay. Hope you're able to see my screen. Just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks all for joining, and welcome to the session on agentic AI with MCP server. Okay, so before we jump on to the session, a very quick introduction about myself. My name is Anand, and been into the industry, IT industry, for the past 15 years. So this is my LinkedIn. I'll share this presentation over Teams, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and also I have a personal blogging site where I post regularly on Azure topics, Azure and AI topics. Also, I this is the community that I run, right? The community that you just joined. So those are my social handles. You can follow me on LinkedIn, and I'll share this at the end of the session. Okay, so that's about me, guys, and maybe let's jump on to the session. So before I start deep dive into the session, I just wanted to ask, how many of you have worked in Kubernetes or from Kubernetes background, be it Azure or Google or anything? Mm. At least not even if you've seen Kubernetes, right? If you have basic knowledge, also let me know. You can give a thumbs up if you have worked on it. Mm. Okay, perfect. I see Dhanush and Sachin has worked on it. Okay. All right. Any of you are from Azure background? Mhm. Have worked in Azure? Okay, great. All right, all right, okay. So you might feel this session might be easy for you, even if you have not worked, not an issue. So it might be easy for you to relate to this session actually. For others also, it's fine, right? No issues at all. Mm. So yeah, so the thing is, the session for today is agentic AI and MCP server. Okay, and you might have heard of this agentic AI, MCP, all these buzzwords, right? AI agents, model context protocol. These are all the common words used nowadays, right? But always there is a confusion. What is this MCP? What is this agentic AI? Um, who just joined? Hi, Silam. Thanks for joining the session. We just started. Yeah. So you always we have tend to have a confusion. What is this MCP? Because if you go and search in the internet, or if you go and search in chat gpt also, yeah, so if you search anywhere, there will be a definition given for mcp and agentic ai, which sometimes confuses us a lot. Okay, so this session I'll make sure that I show you a practical end-to-end demo on how this really works. Okay, how mcp works and what is the real use of it, right? We can understand the definition, but we need to know what is the real use of it, what is the problem that it is solving, right? That's the thing I'm going to explain in this session. Okay. So moving on, agenda for today's session is so what we are trying to achieve, I'll cover that, and why mcp server, why we are really using this, what problem it is solving. Let's talk about that. Using so there are two options, okay, local mcp server and remote mcp server. So we'll also cover that. uh, Local MCP server, for sure, I will show you a practical end-to-end demo. Remote MCP server, if time permits, if you're all okay, I can also show a demo on that. Okay, and also using this MCP server, we are going to do some troubleshooting and operate our AKS cluster, the Azure Kubernetes cluster, right? Using AI and MCP server, we are going to operate our AKS cluster. That's the real use case we are going to see today, right? And integrating MCP server with AI. So Azure Foundry is the AI from Azure itself, right? Azure Foundry is a kind of AI hub which is given by Microsoft Azure. So how can we integrate that in the Azure Foundry? That is something we'll show you, which is again a remote MCP server, right? So if time permits, we'll walk you through this remote MCP server also. Okay, so that's the agenda for today. I want to keep the theory as less as possible, but sometimes we need to tell you what it is really. So a little bit of theory before we jump on to the practical sessions. Okay, so please bear with me. And thanks all for the new joiners. We just started the session. I was just giving an introduction. All right. Uh, okay. So first of all, let's understand what we are trying to achieve using this AI and MCP server. Okay. So I keep saying MCP server, but just keep in mind that whenever there is someone is talking about MCP or agents, there is always an AI behind the scenes. Okay. Without AI, you cannot use a MCP or an agentic AI, right? Agents and MCP always go hand in hand with the AI, the model, right? So when I talk about MCP, it's always behind the scenes. There is always a model. So just try keep that in mind. Okay, I see more members are joining. All right. So here's the core part, guys. Let's try to understand the problem statement. Okay, what we are trying to achieve using the MCP and AI, which is the use case. Okay, uh, and many of you from the IT background, right? When you want to learn something or implement an AI project, AI based solution, we have a question. What is the real use case? Okay, we don't get an answer for that easily. Okay, there are several use cases using which AI can solve, and this is one of the use case which is easy, and also any of you can use this in your daily operations if you are working in Kubernetes. Okay, so let's understand what we are trying to achieve today. Okay, using AI, we are going to operate our AKS cluster. So, if you work in Kubernetes, right? So your daily, you do day-to-day operations on the Kubernetes. So you deploy the application, you check the logs of the application pods, you dig into the pod details. So a lot of things you have to do when you work in Kubernetes, and all these are like manually you'll running some commands to operate the AKS cluster. You'll have to do that manually. Okay, I'll show that to you, and how we are going to achieve those. How we are going to do that manual work using AI, right? How AI simplifies, AI plus MCP simplifies that manual work for us. That's the thing we are going to see today. Okay, uh, and let me show you without AI, for example, right? We need to understand this very clearly, how AI solves this problem. Okay, this is my Azure portal, and I have a Kubernetes cluster here. Okay, just maybe a very basic, and also, guys, if you want to stop me, please do stop me in between. If you have questions, feel free to raise it. Okay. Uh, so I have a Kubernetes cluster. Kubernetes, for any of you new to Kubernetes, it is an Azure resource. Very short description of it's an Azure resource which lets you run your applications. Okay, it's like virtual machine, a small virtual machine running on a cluster, something like that. Okay. So To do something on Kubernetes, to deploy an application, first I'll be authenticating to this Kubernetes cluster. Okay, let's see how I can authenticate to the Kubernetes cluster. So authentication, since I have already logged into the Azure portal using my credentials, here in this console I'm already logged in. Okay, so I'm authenticated to Azure now, which means that I'm inside Azure. Based on my access, I can execute anything on this Azure. Right, based on my access, not anything. Based on my access, I'll be able to do certain operations. Okay, now I'm authenticated. Now, to do Kubernetes operations, manual operations, what I will do is I will have to set the context for my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, let me show you something before I do that. So I want to list my pods in Kubernetes. So you run this command, you'll get the list of pods. But currently, even though I am logged in, it's not working because it does not know which cluster it has to check. Because I have one cluster, I might even have more than one cluster. Okay, so if I run this command, it doesn't know which cluster it has to go and check the pods. Okay, so I need to give the context for the cluster. This is my cluster name, and this is how you set the context for the cluster. This is the command you'll be using. Okay. All right. So now I have given the cluster information to the Cloud Shell, and also I am logged into my Azure. Okay. Now let me run and see what happens. Okay. No pods. Actually, I have not deployed any pods in the default namespace. But if you see my the kube system namespace, a lot of pods are running. Okay. So important thing to understand is to check the pods and all, I need to run this kind of command. Okay, these are simple commands, but as you work in more advanced Kubernetes environments, right, you will have to run some maybe some lengthy commands. Okay, which is sometimes difficult to remember the syntax and all that. You forget where to put the hyphen, what is the exact place the we need to put the namespace, those kind of things we usually don't remember. And that's the problem that AI plus MCP server solves. Okay, so instead of this, a very good example is, instead of you remembering this command to get the pods, you can simply ask the AI, list my pods. Okay, and in the background, AI will run this command for you. AI plus MCP will run this command for you and give you the list of pods. Okay, that's a very simple example. It can also do the troubleshooting, deploy applications, all those things. Whatever we can achieve using the kubectl commands, AI plus MCP server can do that for us. So that's, and also authentication part I will cover it. Okay, as we progress, you will understand more how this works. So with this I stop here. I just want to take if any questions. Does it make sense so far? Because before jumping on to the topic, we need to understand the basics and problem statement. You can give a thumbs up if we can move on, if you're all okay. Okay, perfect. All right. So now that's how we do a Kubernetes operation. That's and next, how do we use this MCP server, right? So as I already said, always we need to have a model for an MCP server, because your always the intelligence comes from the model. Whenever you talk about the MCP or agent, those are all execution related resources. So agent does the execution, and similarly MCP server also acts as a tool to do some execution, but always the intelligence, right, that comes from the model only. Model can be anything. It can be GPT-4, 5, codex, whatever you are using in the day-to-day life also, right? Like the chat GPT uses GPT model. So behind the MCP server, there should always be a model. Okay, that's something important to understand. So ways to use MCP from Visual Studio Code, we can log into the GitHub Copilot, which uses a model behind the scenes, and this MCP server. So when we use it in Visual Studio Code, it's a local MCP server. Okay, uh, and also this MCP server, we can install it in a remote resource also and call it from our model. Okay, that's another concept, remote MCP server. So several ways to use this MCP server, and in today's first demo, I'm going to show you how to use this MCP from the Visual Studio Code, and you'll understand it as I show that demo to you. Okay, ways to use MCP. So local and MC. Local is something you'll run locally on your local machine. Remote is you'll install it on a remote server like Azure server or somewhere else. That's remote to the AI. Okay. So the things to remember, we'll talk about this later, and let's jump on to the session now, guys. Right, the actual core demo of today's session. So Visual Studio Code, I'm using Visual Studio Code, which is a local MCP server setup. Okay, to show you the local MCP server setup, I'm using a Visual Studio Code now. Uh, Now from here, I'm going to do some operations in my AKS cluster. Okay, so how do we do that? So the first thing is, for example, this is basically, yeah. So let's understand this here. So Visual Studio Code has got the GitHub Copilot integrated. Okay, so when you install a Visual Studio Code, this comes to you by default, and this there is a model behind this. Okay, and let's go step by step. So the first thing is, let me try to ask a question. Okay, list my bots. See, the first thing is we need to log into the GitHub Copilot to use the AI features. This is a fresh virtual machine. I wanted to show an end-to-end demo. That's why I have not logged in to any of my GitHub Copilot features. So I'm going to log in now. All right. So it's currently logging in. Okay, so as you can see, just observe what happens here. Which AKS cluster context should I use? Okay, currently I have not used any MCP server, so it's trying to give me a generic answer. Okay, it's not using MCP, so any model that you go and ask, it will give you some generic answer. It will try to help you out. Okay, so that's what this also does. So here, as I said, there is always a model behind the scenes, right? So how this answer comes in the Visual Studio Code is because it is using a model. Okay, it is an auto, and This is using a GPT 5.2 codex model. I can switch the models here. So as you can see, several models are available. The 5.2 is the one that ChatGPT uses by default. So it is using a codex model here by default. Okay, auto, it picks up automatically. That's what this auto means. So it gives me a generic answer now. Now, AKS, there is a MCP server. That is an official MCP server from the Kubernetes community. So we can integrate that MCP server into this AI, so that I can the intelligence of this model can be used along with that MCP server to do this kind of operations in AKS. So how do we integrate that MCP server? Let's see step by step. It's very simple. Okay, anyone can do it. So the first thing is we have logged into the GitHub Copilot now, and next we are going to install some extensions. Okay, basically installing a MCP server locally is very simple. You just need to install this extension. Let me show you the exact name of the extension, which is Azure Kubernetes Service. This is an extension which will be available in your Visual Studio Code. And I'm just installing it. Okay. You can see some error messages here. Okay. So what this basically does is it tries to install an MCP server locally behind the scenes, and it is failing. Okay, the MCP server is failing to install because of some reason. I'll show you how we can fix this. So I go to I just do a control shift P, and I can run some commands at the top. Okay, here I'm going to see AKS setup AKS MCP server. I'm going to just click on this. I'm just setting up an AKS MCP server. As you can see here, it's trying to do something, activating extension. Okay. Okay, so what it does is it tries to find this Kubernetes context. Okay, because this MCP server is designed to do the Kubernetes operations, right? So it will try to find the context of the Kubernetes cluster, which will be available in the config file and in this VM, right? So outside of, I did the login in the Cloud Shell to show you how the Kubernetes operation works. Okay, but within this VM, it checks that locally. Since this is a local MCP server, it checks locally to see find this config file, so that it will know which cluster it needs to operate. So this we need to give the AKS MCP server, the local MCP server, the context. So how do we give that context is I need to l- log into my Azure first. All right. So I'm logged into Azure now. So basically, just try to understand this, guys. If it's confusing, what I'm trying to do is there is a MCP server, but it needs to know my Kubernetes environment. Okay, and that's why we are logging into Azure, which means that I'm doing a local login here, right? So what happens behind the scene is there will be a folder created. I'll just show that to you. So this is this is where my credentials are currently sitting. Okay, .azure folder. Since I've logged into Azure, my credentials are here. Now the MCP server will look for this. Okay, it's available. That part is done. Another thing it will look for is a context for the Kubernetes, which will be inside .cube file. So to set the context, I need to run another command, the one that I previously shown. Now you can see a .cube file got created. Okay, and this is where I'm telling inside this config file I'm saying, okay, this is my cluster that you are responsible for operations. Okay, so two information I have given now for the MCP server, and this is by default. The MCP server is this particular AKS MCP server is designed in such a way that it will look for the Azure login and the AKS cluster, and that's how it can operate, right? Without Azure login, it cannot do any execution on the AKS cluster. So currently, the MCP server knows my credentials and also knows my AKS cluster. Okay, and you might, whenever you hear MCP and whenever you hear that agentic AI is taking some action, right? So this is how the MCP servers will be designed to get authenticated to the target environment. So this is one of the example. There are several MCP servers, right? And each of them will have their own way of authenticating to the execution environment. So now we are done with logging into our Azure environment. Now let's see how what happens now. Okay. So now I'm going to configure the MCP server, which is very simple. You just do a Control Shift P, and in the search you type AKS, and you do a setup AKS MCP server. Just click on this. Let's see why it's activating the extension. It is basically doing the local MCP server installation. It's not a huge installation. It's just a binary installation, which will happen quickly. Yeah. So I think it's done now. Now to check whether the MCP is really running right, what we need to do is click on this configure tools at the bottom right corner. Okay. Let me close this and reopen. Okay, it's doing something now. So you can see AKS MCP server has been configured successfully. And if you check the tools now, you see something AKS MCP. Let me just check on that. Again, I'll show you again how I got here. Let me close this. Just click on tools, bottom right, AKS MCP server, click on settings. And here you'll see an option to start it. Okay, we need to start this. Okay, perfect. Now it's in a running state. Okay, very simple, guys. I didn't do anything. I just logged into my Azure. I set the context for my Kubernetes cluster. I installed an extension, and I did a Control Shift P and searched for AKS, and I just configured it. That's it. And I came here and did a start. So my local MCP server is running now. Okay, and irrespective of which platform you are from, there are many MCP servers. So if you're working in Azure, no, forget about Kubernetes. If you're working in Azure, there is an Azure MCP server. Uh, it's the same exact method you have to configure that Azure MCP server, a normal MCP server, with which you can do Azure related operations, right? Like restarting virtual machine, checking the logs of the VM, and several other things. So there are several MCP servers which you can apply in your daily operations, right? And that can be done easily from your Visual Studio Code with the GitHub Copilot. Okay, with this I'll stop here for a moment and take any questions so far. I think it's maybe too much information here. Is it making sense, guys, so far? Are you okay, confused? Okay, just one thumbs up so far. What about others? Are we okay to proceed? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, perfect. So we have our model now. Okay, we have our model. How I got this model is it's not easy. It's not free. Okay, I have a GitHub Copilot Pro version. Even in a free version, also you will be able to do this, but with some limitation. Okay, but let's not go into that. Just understand that there is a model behind the scenes. When I logged into the GitHub Copilot, it is automatically using a model. Okay, I can choose from any of this model, and with this model I have integrated a MCP server, which is a ready made available MCP server. We are not creating this MCP server, it's already available. And this is one of the method to use that AKS MCP server, okay, using Visual Studio Code. And now it's fine, so far it's fine. Okay, model MCP server is there, and also importantly, this is an agentic mode. So to use a MCP server, you need to use an agent. Okay, you're not installing an agent or creating an agent. It's just that your AI is automatically having an agent here, which will make a call to the MCP server running locally. And let's get into action now. Let's see what happens. Now, what I'm going to ask the AI is, can you list my pods? I'm not giving any other context. Okay, very simple question. Okay, have a close watch on this. So previously, I showed you without MCP server how the Visual Studio Code reacted when I asked the same question. It gave some generic answer. It was trying to help me out, which obviously any AI will do. But when I integrated the MCP server, it knows that okay, I need to use the MCP server to do this, to answer for this prompt. Okay, and that's why it's running the AKS MCP server, as you can clearly see here. If you do this in your Visual Studio Code, you definitely not see this because you don't have an MCP server. Okay, now it's running using the MCP server, and it is asking me whether I can do some operation. Okay, uh, and this is a kind of approval, and it is very important because this is where the security part and all comes, right? MCP can execute actions on your environment. So we cannot allow it just like that. That's why we have a kind of gate here. It's kind of approval gate, and I'm just allowing it for now. Okay, again I'm clicking on allow, and also you can do allow all, which I don't recommend, just for safety purposes. Because we need to know what it is doing actually. See, it is saying I have 14 pods. If you'd like to see pods in a specific namespace, okay, show me pods in cube system. I'm not even typing the exact name of my namespace. It's cube hyphen system. Let's see what it does. Okay, let me change the model. It tries to do something, but really it has not given anything so far. Okay, and also every model behaves differently, and also every time you get an answer right, that also is not the same all the time. But anyway, it will give you the right answer, but the way it gives might be different based on models and based on context. Just see, okay. Just listing me all the pods. Okay, you see the seeing the beauty of this, guys. So this is what the real, I mean real use case of AI plus MCP server. Okay, I'm using an AI which so behind the scenes, let's understand what it does. Okay, this perfect. Thanks Sachin, thanks Shubhashish. Okay, behind the scenes, what is happening is something we need to understand. Sorry to have a little bit of theory here, but we need to understand this, very important. Okay, so I given a natural language. The power of AI is always natural language. AI understands it and it translates it into a whatever thing we need. Okay, that's the power of AI. So I'm sending a natural language, list my pods. AI understands it, and it sends to the agent. Agent is the one that's deciding that, okay, let's use MCP for this action. Okay, because here in this chat window I can ask anything. I can even ask, uh, give me the command for something, right? Give me a code for creating an application. Give me a node.js code for creating an application. It will give that code to me. But when does it decide it needs to use the MCP server? Right, who decides that? So whenever I ask something about Kubernetes, it knows the agent is the one deciding that, okay, use the MCP server. There is a local MCP server, it's authenticated to the Azure environment, and it knows the cluster, uh, and it's doing a call to the MCP tool. That's where the agent kicks in. Okay, agent is nothing but everything we need to see in the eyes, right? Just we should not talk about it. So you can see this is the agent, integrated agent. We are not creating anything here. It's all integrated, built in. So agent decides that, okay, this is he's asking something about MCP, sorry, asking something about AKS. Let's send this to the MCP server. Okay, and MCP it sends that in a structured request. Okay, it cannot send the natural language. This is where the AI model plays an important role. It sends a structured request like a JSON format, converts that natural language into JSON format, which the MCP server can understand. So MCP server now gets the right kind of context, okay, kind of structured JSON. And this makes an API call to the Kubernetes server based on the request, based on the structured request. Now the MCP server knows what needs to be done. Okay, user is asking for a pod, and it will have the JSON formatted kind of command, and that it will convert into a Kubernetes API call, which is what the MCP server is built for. And then it contacts the Kubernetes cluster and lists out the pods and whatever things we ask. Now let's see what else we can do a lot of things here, right? uh, Give me the IP address. So one more thing just to let you know is I might get disconnected, okay, because I have a limitation of 1 hour in my teams. I might get disconnected. So if in case we get disconnected, please rejoin. Okay. Sometimes, right, we might have to ask it to use MCP or give some clue to the AI that it needs to use the MCP. But most of the times, right, it works as expected. Just that the context we need to give it a little bit more. Okay. So now, see, when I did the manual operation, right, to get an IP address, I need to pass some additional commands, right? What you'll do is you might know that command, remember it, or else you'll ask Google or even use an AI like ChatGPT to get that command. You need to copy that. You need to come and paste that. So every time instead of doing that, see how useful this natural language is. And now I can also do some deployment. Okay, interestingly, let me see if we can do a deployment. Or else let's try to do a troubleshooting first. Okay, let's what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy a very basic application pod. Okay, it's a default nginx application image. I'm going to deploy one replica. So I'm deploying it outside of my AI just to show you some issues with this pod intentionally and see how AI can help us. Okay, so I just deployed one pod. And it's not in a ready state, as you can see here, right? There is some error message. Now let's say that I don't know what exactly this is and I want to use AI. So without AI, what you'll do is you'll see troubleshoot and check the logs manually. You will be doing all those things, but let's see how AI plus MCP server helps here. Can you check this import default namespace? So this is in a default namespace. Okay, Again, I'm just mentioning use MCP. Hmm. See, it is telling me that yes, you have a pod. It is also saying there is an error message. Why it's asking me whether it can help me. Okay, let's see what it does. All this natural language. So it is giving me some suggestions here. Okay, I'm still asking if it has got any issue with the image. Let's see what it is. So you can always allow. You can also choose this option just in case the prompts are too much. Okay, it is giving some clue. Okay, so what I did here is I intentionally made a mistake in the image name. Okay, which is I did a put a one, and it is able to find that. Okay, so as you can see here, it is giving me set it to nginx demo slash hello, uh, and it is giving me the right answer. So if I had done a mistake in the image name, this is giving me a real clue. Okay. And it usually does this in the first attempt. Let me ask it. Okay, yes, deploy using the latest image. And just to remember one thing is this deployment usually in Kubernetes, right? We might use a separate pipeline, okay, to have the control of our deployments. We might not use AI for it. Just for this demo purpose, I'm showing you how AI can deploy the application also for you. Uh, Now it corrected the image also for us. Okay, when I asked it to deploy the right image, it is runs the exact command and the pod is up and running. Okay, so that's how a real MCP server plus an agent works in real time. Okay, so this is just one use case, guys. Okay, and also based on this model, there are several other things can be achieved. Okay, because this particular model is not for coding. 5.2 is not for coding, and Claude Sonnet 4.5. So basically this is kind of code, right, that it's trying to execute, and the model gives this context, the kind of structured request to the MCP server. So depending on the model, the structured request might vary. Okay, this Claude Sonnet might give the right structure. So list me the pods now using MCP server. Okay, so it is using the default namespace, and it is listing the pod. Okay, can now let me see. Can you check the OS this pod is running on use MCP? Okay, usually to check this OS of a pod, you might have to run a execute into the pod, and that command is not a simple command. Okay, the hyphen and all the placement of the syntax, right? It's quite difficult to remember, but here the AI has helped us definitely, right? And it is also giving us the in the right way. Okay, usually if I have to do this here, it might be quite complex. Exec something, even I don't remember that command, something like this. Okay, you have to copy the pod, you have to mention the namespace. See, at least one syntax. Okay, always when you do Kubernetes operations, right, you use tend to forget these commands. Sorry, I think we got lost. Yeah. Hi, sorry, we got disconnected because of my meeting limitation. So that's the. Let me share my screen again. So it's almost we have done with the demo. So like how do you feel? Guys? Like, are you getting making sense out of this so far? Is it okay? Are you able to understand how the core AI plus MCP works? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, now let me show you a few important things to remember. Okay.
Mm. So sometimes, right, in the AI era today, your organization might ask you to create an agent or do something with a improve the daily operations or something. We are always when you are asked for such task, right, keep in mind that there are several agents and MCP servers pre-built, especially if you're working in Azure or Microsoft. Microsoft itself builds a lot of MCP servers and agents which we can consume easily. So, if you're asked with such task, right, automate something using AI, first see if there is a pre-built agent or MCP server. Because many times what happens is when we are asked for such thing, we go and search the AI itself. Like we ask ChatGPT, right, how to create automate a Kubernetes deployment or something. So the ChatGPT will give you like how to create an agent, how to create the MCP server. It will give you a lot of code. It will throw you the codes. You can build an MCP server using that. But when there is already something like an official product, right? First have a check. First search it in Google and even ask ChatGPT whether there is an existing solution for this. If it's a old one, AI might know about it. But if it's recently introduced, right, your ChatGPT might not know about it. So just make sure that the thing that you're trying does not pre-exist or it's not pre-built by Microsoft or another organization. Okay, just make sure, be careful with that, just to not waste your efforts. Okay, so as I said, other point is there is always a model behind the scenes whenever you're using MCP or agent. There is always a model is where the intelligence comes from. And here, from my local MCP server, Visual Studio Code, I was able to reach my AKS. AKS cluster should be reachable, right? Because AKS cluster is in my Azure, and my AKS cluster is a public AKS cluster, and that's why I'm able to reach it. If it's not public, then that's again a network thing. I don't want to go into that, but just keep in mind that it has to your whatever. Execution environment you're trying to execute your using your MCP server, that should be reachable. Okay, and the last point is GitHub Copilots should be in agent mode, right? As you have seen, making it in agent mode is very simple. You just choose the by default it's in agent mode. So those are some of the important things you need to remember. Okay, so with this, I would like to wind up for today because the remote MCP server, right? It is again gonna take another like almost an hour.
So maybe we can see that in another session. But this is how
Your MCP helps you out with the AI.
okay, one of the use case that we have seen. So I'll share this slides. I'll share this PowerPoint with you. You can reach out to me if any questions. You can also go through my blogs. Remote MCP server for, yeah, Sachin, that's a good question. Please ask if you guys have any question, right? Please do ask. Don't feel shy. It's all learning for us. See, this MCP server is available in this repo. Okay, it's a publicly available MCP server. And also let me share that. So if you Sachin, if you go into this repo, right,
All the instructions are given there, but the way I explained, right, the instructions will miss a lot of things. Okay, they have not shown how to configure the authentication and all that. So it's quite difficult to follow this
instructions and achieve this. But still, this is where I have taken the AKS MCP server. Let me I don't know if I'll be able to send messages after I close this call, so let me share my PPT. Okay, so that's the PPT. Any more, Sachin? You have any questions? Please, anyone, please feel free to ask. Locked. Oh. Mm, Sahana, can you tell me what exactly? Can you paste? Sorry. Yeah, Sahana, what error you are getting? Can you share that?
Uh,
Yeah.
and we are not able to actually download the file.
Oh, okay. That MCP server link, it's not working for you.
No, the file which you shared,
Okay,
PPT.
PPT. Okay, Sahana is sending the MCP server link. And I think Sahana, this MCP server, maybe your organization is blocking it if you're.
No, no, not the MCP server. Actually, the file I tried to download, it that is showing me as like that. That is your file actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My file. Okay,
Maybe
sorry.
because of the permissions. Can you set the permissions?
Let me check that. Not set any permission.
Others, are they able to see the same way or are they able to download?
Let me reshare it. And also, I have for remote MCP server, right? I have a end-to-end blog written. I'll also share that link to all of you.
Yeah, that would be useful.
Just stay on for 2 minutes. Try to share. Can you write this now?
I think it's maybe because it's my office uh, Teams.
Okay.
I
Anybody
didn't have
else?
Teams. I use. I am still getting the same file blocked. Maybe
Can,
because you are external and sending it.
okay. Can you share your email address? I will.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, please. Okay, then it's my problem then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can send it me here.
Anybody facing this issue, please share your email. I can send it right away. It's the blog for remote MCP server. Okay, Sachin is able to access it.
ಇದೆಲ್ಲ
Okay.
ಮುಟ್ಟಬಾರ್ದು ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಆಫೀಸ್ ಇದ್ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಓಕೆ, ತೋರಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಆಫೀಸ್ ಇದ್ ಮಾತ್ರ, ತೋರಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಂದಾಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಓಕೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಡ, ಇದು ಹಾಳಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
Okay. Just share that. That should work. Sneha, right? Okay. All right. So, guys, so thank you, Sachin, thank you so much. And if you like,
Liked my session, please drop give feedback in the meetup, and in future also you can join my sessions. Please give feedback, guys, if you have time, just so that I can improve, or if it was good.
yeah, you can give a good feedback. Yeah, thank you all so much. Have a great weekend.